Hello everyone, my name is Abubakar Isa-Abubakar. I'm a data scientist and as a data expert, I've been supporting the Nigeria GEO-LDN intersectoral team and also currently collaborating with the GEO-LDN as a data expert. And I'm happy to announce that the GEO-LDN is planning to integrate the KoboCollect into the GEO-LDN Toolbox. The KoboToolbox is a really is a really easy to use tool that could be used from your smartphone or smart devices for data collection purposes. I'll be talking about why the need for a data collection, a digital data collection tool, especially in terms of assessing land degradation. As a data expert supporting the Nigeria GEO-LDN tool, I'd say the Kobo Toolbox has been a really easy to use tool for our data collection activities, especially on land degradation, where you have so many um, really sensitive information to collect, especially in terms of handling geolocation or geospatial coordinates. So I'm going to take you through the Kobo Toolbox and also have some hands-on tutorial videos on how to use and set up the Kobo Toolbox and also the KoboCollect app on your Android devices. So first of all, why do we need a digital data collection tool? I think it's really important that the world has changed in a way that we move from manual data collection process, especially in the 21st century. It doesn't make sense to rely on the manual data collection process with pen and papers, where we're currently in the digital age. And with technology, we're better able to handle data, we're better able to access data, we're better able to efficiently collect data. And one of the one of the advantages of having a digital data collection tool is for efficiency and speed. It allows you to quickly collect and organize and also analyze data in real time, which obviously is faster than the manual data collection process. I can testify to that as I've worked as a health data analyst and I've been on the field several times to collect health facility based data sets, and um, working with pen and paper just doesn't really do justice most of the time. So it helps also to reduce the time spent on data entry. And one of the problems we really face is when it comes to data collection and you collect data on pen and paper, um, you then have to take this pen, you then have to take this paper to the data entry clerk and impute all of this manually collected data into spreadsheets. So it takes a lot of time to collect data into your paper, and then you transfer from your paper to the computer through spreadsheets. But with a digital tool like the KoboCollect, it's really easy to have all of this transferred. All you have to do is collect this data with the with the Kobo Toolbox, and then you can go into the Kobo Toolbox server and download your dataset as a spreadsheet or as an Excel um, format dataset. And also, one of the other reasons why you need a digital data collection tool is for accuracy and minimization of errors. Humans have this tendency to really test a tool or a software. And one of the best scenarios I can tell you is a lot of data collectors or enumerators sometimes they get very exhausted and lazy on the field. And in some cases, when in the data collection process, you tend to write in some information very inaccurately. For example, when you give people the chance to enter information like gender or age, for example, some people might decide to write them in figures, some might decide to write them in words. So these are some of the little inaccuracies or errors the digital data collection tool helps you to avoid, because once you have this information on paper, by entering some a part of the respondent or enumerators entering in figures or digits, then it's left for the data experts planning to do analysis on this data set to go back and do some form of data cleaning, and that takes a whole lot of process and time. So it helps to ensure the data is entered correctly, and this also helps to reduce errors such as incomplete answers. And also with the digital data collection tool, it's it uses the GPS facilities on your smartphones and your smart devices. It can capture location data very accurately, which is very critical for mapping activities, especially for assessing land degradation. You might try to understand, trying to understand factors that influence land degradation in a particular area. It's very important to have the to capture the location of each of these areas or each of these mapped units for reference and also for the analysis on other geospatial tools. And with the digital data collection tool, you have data security and backup, um, which can provide secure cloud-based storage. This data is being collected and stored on the server somewhere on the internet to reduce the risk of losing data due to physical mishaps, like damaged papers or fire outbreaks and other accidents. And for a digital data collection tool, it has given flexibility to so many different things, um, like customizable for specific needs. It can be tailored to specific needs for your project, integrating multimedia elements like photos or audio that would be difficult to capture with the traditional methods. So with the traditional method, obviously, your pen and paper, for example, you go to the field, you try to you try to assess land degradation, for example, in a particular field. Um, because you're doing a traditional data collection process, you need to have a camera, for example. You need to have an extra camera, or if you're going to do some kind of community engagement, you need a third-party device to be able to capture videos or audio with your interaction with the community members. But with the digital data collection tool, everything is integrated into this tool. It makes it easy for you to capture images of sites, of degradations. If it's community engagement, you have the liberty to capture all of this information, audio, video, pictures, with just a single click of a button. So the Kobo Toolbox basically is an innovative open source platform for collecting, managing, and visualizing data. It is mostly widely used data tool for social impact initiatives across the globe. So many high-profile organizations, humanitarian organizations, use KoboCollect as an easy tool for data collection. For accuracy and its flexibility in supporting other formats of data. It makes it easy to develop forms for data collection. It also has so many features for managing projects, for visualization, and also to build very complex forms in terms of, I mean, really, um, it's really project specific. It depends on the kind of project you're working on. If it requires very complex forms, then you can create very massive complex forms with so many inbuilt calculations. But then if it's a simple data collection, like for the land degradation assessment, then you don't need so much of a complex form, just a simple form that asks the type of land degradation or the intensity of land degradation or experts' recommendations and all these other questions related to land degradation assessment. And with the Kobo Toolbox, it allows you to translate questions into hundreds of different languages. So it's very versatile in language. It doesn't necessarily have to be in English. The questions don't necessarily need to be in English. You can translate the questions into French, Spanish, all sorts of languages. Um, and with the Kobo Toolbox, you can collect data offline in case of remote areas, like in the for example, we've used the Kobo Toolbox to collect data in the Nigeria pilot project, an Amber community in it's a small community in Nigeria, in Nasarawa State, Nigeria, and it's a very remote community with little to no internet access. So the KoboCollect has given us the opportunity, the chance to collect data even without um, internet connectivity. So KoboCollect, is an Android app which is part of the Kobo Toolbox. And this app is installed on your mobile devices. You can easily add forms. You can download forms from the Kobo server. Um, you can use the KoboCollect to collect apps on your phone, and then you transfer this collected data back to the KoboCollect server, and then you download the data from the server. So in a nutshell, Kobo Toolbox makes it easy to analyze, visualize, collect, and download first-hand data. So this is the workflow of how the Kobo Toolbox works. It's very easy to use, very easy to understand. Ignore all of these lines and arrows. They're actually very easy to navigate. So the first thing you need to do is you need to sign up to the Kobo Toolbox server. So you can sign up with an EU account. This EU link lead directs you to a European Union based server, which is hosted in Ireland. And this server, the EU server, is used by organizations that require or prefer data being hosted on the EU servers, while the second link is for other people around the world. I think most people around the globe have an account with the general server, the general link. So once you create an account using any of these links, if you're an EU humanitarian organization, you use the EU link, and if you are from the other part of the world, you use the second link. So once you create an account, um, the next thing you need to do is create a form. You can create a form on the Kobo Toolbox server, or you can create a form from softwares like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. Very easy to use forms. And this form is in the form of an XLS format. XLS is nothing but an Excel spreadsheet. So basically, it's a spreadsheet form. So once you have this form, the next thing you need to do is upload to the Kobo Toolbox server, and then you can preview this form to just see how it looks, have an overview, and then you can deploy it to the server. So it means you can have this form created on the Kobo Toolbox server. You can just store it there as a draft. You can edit, you can view, and once you're sure everything is in place, and then you deploy on the Kobo Toolbox server, and this makes it available to be downloaded on any KoboCollect toolbox on your smart device. And so the next step is to download this form on your smartphone or tablet. It's very easy. All you need to do is go on your Google Play Store and just type in KoboCollect. So once you download the KoboCollect app on your phone, you configure. I will show you how to configure on the next video, and you can configure the form, connect to your created server on the KoboToolbox um, on the KoboToolbox website. And then once you have this figured out, you can now collect data. Um, and we're going to see how we can generate or how we can develop forms related to the mission of the GEO-LDN. So we're going to create a form to assess land degradation. Of course, it has to do with land degradation type, the productivity, the sustainable land management type. And once you have this data, and then you have your output to download from the KoboToolbox server. So now we're going to look at what an XLS form or an Excel spreadsheet form is. XLS form is a form standard. It's designed to make form creation easier by using Microsoft Excel. Like I mentioned, it's very easy to create a data collection form. All you need is a Microsoft Excel, basically. And forms are authored in a format that's easy to understand. It's human readable by using tools like Microsoft Excel or Google Spreadsheets. And this is the workflow on how the how creating a form works. So basically, you have an XLS form, an Excel spreadsheet, which is a usual Microsoft Excel or the Google Spreadsheet. You create the form on the Microsoft Excel, which is human readable. And then once you try to upload it to the Kobo Toolbox, um, there's this middle guy called an XML. And XML is what is the middle guy. Let's see him as a middle guy that takes the Excel spreadsheet and converts it to a machine readable format. And then it sent it to the Kobo Toolbox using Enketo. So you have this form from stage one, a human readable form. It comes into the extensive markup language, which is then converted to a machine understandable format, and which is then fed to the Kobo toolbox. Very easy. So for an XLS form, it basically has two main worksheets. As you can see, it has the survey sheet, and then it has the choices sheet. The survey sheet contains all the survey informations, all the survey questions, the types of questions, if it's a question that requires numbers like age, if it's a text question, for example, like recommendations, and it also contains a label and other attributes that the Kobo Toolbox can read. Like I give an example, what type of land degradation, what is the level of land degradation? All of these are questions for assessing land degradation. So all questions belong to the survey sheet, while the choices sheet contains options that will be used for a single or multiple choice questions from the survey sheet. For example, if a question asks, what is your gender? The question remains on the survey sheet, while the options for gender, for example, male, female, or non-binary, belong to the choices sheet. Or if a question is, what is the type of land degradation? It belongs to the survey sheet. And then the options sheet, and the options, which is if it's soil erosion or water erosion or wind erosion, all of these options belong to the choices sheet. And it's very important to note that the sheet names, survey, and choices are very case sensitive. So they have to be, I mean, for to play it on the safe side, it's best to have the namings in small cases. So I'm going to walk you through the survey sheet and also then the choices sheet. The survey sheet, as I mentioned, contains the type of questions, the label. Basically, the survey worksheet has three essential columns: the type, the name, and the label. The type column specifies the type of data entry. For example, if you're asking what is the name of a respondent, you're expecting a text. If you're asking what is the age of a respondent, you're expecting a number. So the type column handles those kinds of data entry, while the name column specifies the unique variable name for that entry. So for each question, you need to assign a unique name to it. This name has to be unique for identification, for reference, and we will see that in when we come to hands-on. And naming a question has some rules. Each naming must be unique, avoid duplicates, and are also case sensitive. Names can start with a letter or an underscore. The names can only contain digits, hyphens, underscores, and periods. Then you have the label column. The label column contains the actual text that is being displayed on your questionnaire. So if you open the KoboCollect app, any text you see, any question you see, belongs to the label column, and then this text can be translated into different languages. Like I mentioned, Spanish for the Spanish-speaking countries, to French, and so on. Now the choices sheet, it contains three columns: the list name, the name, and the label. The list name column allows the user to group together a set of related questions. As you can see in the screenshots, these first three options, they're all gender questions. They're all options for the gender question. So you can have male, female, non-binary, and all of these are categorized under a single list name called gender. And then you can see the label. The label appears on the app, so male, female, non-binary, for example. And then for questions on what is the type of land degradation, they all have a single common list name: land degradation type, up to the end. And then for the label, you have the actual names of this land degradation type that display on the app. And then for the name, these are all the unique attached values to each of these options. And now on the next slide, we have, these are just more question types you can use to create a form. We can have texts, we can have integers, which are nothing but just numbers. You can have audio type, data type, you can have notes, you can perform a calculation, you can have GeoPoint coordinates, or you can have a polygon, a GeoShape, you can have an image, and so on and so forth. So thank you, and I will see you in the next tutorials.